Well, welcome back now to week 3 of our History of Covenant Presbyterian Church, Seeking God at Ridgecliff and Reading.
If he can find his way.
So once again, as along with my talk and what we're doing together here, we once again have the display of blueprints from the original church construction stages. We have some books and mementos over here of historical nature as well. So, feel free to linger and check those out. I do have copies of the slides to hand out, but I always kind of hold back because and give them after, because I don't want you to read those rather than and maybe spoil the surprise, if you turn to the back and see how it ends or whatever. So anyway, so here we go. This will be the final week of this installment, this series that I'm doing, probably we'll do more history of covenant from 1973 up till now, but I haven't done that part yet. So stay tuned. Welcome. Oh. Okay.
There you go.
All right. So, where in the world is Covenant Presbyterian Church? So, this is kind of hard to see, but the Fellers came up with this wonderful garage sale purchase they made. You all know what USGS quadrangle maps are?
Yes.
Okay, well it's a long-standing series of high-quality maps of the entire United States produced by the U.S. Geological Survey, sort of from, I think, the 30s, 40s, 50s. This happens to be Northwest Columbus in 1955. And so, let's see, up on top here, this is Linworth and 161. Here's Lane Avenue, and this is Fishinger. And you'll notice that Upper Arlington doesn't go past Fishinger much. The pink area is Upper Arlington. So, when our church started, that's Upper Arlington. And so let's add a few comments and details on that. So this is just closer in on that same map. And again, West Lane Avenue, Riverside Drive, Fishinger, Tremont, and there you have it. And the owner of said map conveniently put a little dot where our church is. So you see, so we built the church, we were in town, but it was just a matter of blocks away until you're not. So that that visual, I think, is helpful as we understand sort of what the situation was, what the surroundings were for the church here in the earliest days. Additionally, I think as we look year by year, and my shtick by now, every year I'm sort of putting what's the membership of Covenant at the end of thus and such years? Just sort of watch the growth. Interestingly, compare that to the population growth of Upper Arlington. You see in 1930, the population of Upper Arlington is only about 3,000. In 20 years to 1950, it's about triple that. It's about 9,000, so it's a decent sort of small town size, you might say. But look at this, 1950 to 60, almost 29,000. That 10 years, as you know, coincides with the beginnings of our church. And
River Ridge. That's when River Ridge began.
yeah. So, so in 1960 to 70, by 1970 it's about 39,000. 1980 it's actually a little bit less. Maybe young families were moving in, their kids were growing up and moved away, and it's down a little. But so it's of course Upper Arlington, of course the full Upper Arlington that goes farther now is kind of a landlocked entity. You know, there's only so much ground space, and so it's probably not surprising that sort of the carrying capacity of Upper Arlington is, you know, something like 35 to 40,000, and that's where it is. But those early decades, I think it's kind of an interesting thing to match up to the history of our church, because our growth sort of is in sync with that situation, you might say.
Notice the drive-in theater there?
No.
Oh yeah, right. So go down Canterbury, turn right on Riverside, and drive-in theater. Or Zollinger and turn south. There on Zollinger, there's a church right there. That would be that Methodist, probably from 1917 that we talked about.
Excuse me.
And then we've got James Thomas Park. We've got, you know, Fishinger Road Bridge, and so on.
None of that has been developed up in there.
David, the other thing is when you look at 50, that's post-World War II, and we have the baby boomers.
Exactly.
And with a huge, growth of schools nuts trying to figure out what to do with all these kids.
Absolutely. Yep. Right. Yep. Baby boom, post-war, you know, all those factors coming together to make us a really happening place. So, you know.
Factor of that growth, and that would have been in around 60, the high school was so overcrowded. The classes were running about 800 to 900.
Wow.
And they had acquired what is now Thompson Park, which is further north than that up Lane Road.
Yep.
A new site for a second high school. They had the site, they had the plans, they had everything, and they were just about to go for the levy to support it. And they said, before we build this high school, maybe we ought to go back and look at the kindergarten and elementary school enrollment. And they found out the kids were not in the pipeline.
Right.
And they backed off and did not build it, and it's true. The high school has never had that many students.
Interesting. So I don't know, in the back, you probably didn't hear Dave bringing up the fact that in around 1960, there was the issue, the question of potential continued growth of Upper Arlington, potentially a second high school. And fortunately, it turns out that didn't happen. And again, kind of ties into these numbers that we're seeing, where the growth was not going to be up and up and up. So, John?
I think in 61, I had 430 maybe in my graduating class.
Okay, 430 in John's graduating class at UA, right?
At UA.
Yep. Right. Yeah.
Even when I came to teach in 69, there were 750. And there was only 3 grades in the high school. And as David pointed out, in about 10 years, there were only 1,600 students in the high school in 4 grades.
Yeah. Interesting. Right.
On the Board of Education that foresaw that was George McConaughey, our member here. And George was the one that really suggested we take a hard look at what the future holds, and when they found out that they couldn't support it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so our own George McConaughey was instrumental and involved in making that observation about the sort of the limits to the possible growth in the schools and planning accordingly, and avoiding the potential sort of trap of a second high school that wouldn't be sustainable. So
But we ended up with a beautiful park up in Thompson Park.
a beautiful park instead.
They had already built another, Burbank elementary school
Okay.
had already been built up north of Lane Road in anticipation of that growth. And it never got used.
Interesting, yeah,
It
so,
never
Yes,
got
it
used.
did.
It did get used, but not for very many years.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, very good, well, all right, excellent, well, and thanks to the fellers for sharing this map. Check it out if you wish afterwards. Okay, you knew it was coming. So, the pop quiz, see what you remember from last week. I'll admit I sort of had to look up the answers too, so. But just as a way of kind of remembering and getting back into things, true or false? For a while in our new church, we were so crowded that 2 identical services and Sunday schools were held each week.
True.
Right, good. True or false? Church membership surpassed 1,000 for the first time in 1965. Would think. True, false.
True.
Well, actually, the first year was 1960. So it was over 1,000 in 65, but it had been 1,000 for several years, in fact, so kind of cool. True or false? Covenant had exactly 2 choirs in 1961. False.
Three.
Anyone know? 3 or 4? 4, I think, well, here's.
Westminster,
Went through, but they really had
can't think of
more.
the others.
Okay, yeah, 4 if you count, senior, junior, Westminster, and Cherub.
I think
I'm,
it's junior high school.
Westminster was?
I think so.
Yeah, junior high school, so,
My goodness, that's
so, there you go. And, I wasn't born yet, so I can't help so,
Yeah, that was false.
well,
That was false.
So, true or false? Covenant's softball team was the Angels.
True.
And the year of the first candlelight Christmas Eve service was, any thoughts? 1958.
Wow.
Yeah, so,
We came in
well, I think we did okay on that, so. All right, well, so, buckle in, we've got a lot of kind of boring facts and figures and some interesting photos. So to get to the interesting photos, let's talk about stuff first, too. 1962, February, the Couples Club Variety Show was an outstanding hit, and therefore it was held on 2 nights instead of the usual 1 night. So,
That's a lot of work.
and then in February also, Covenant took action to purchase the property located just north of the Christian Education Wing at 3330 Reading. We've heard about that, where there was that piece of property that we were still lacking to make our rectangle a truly, full. Also, 1962, Miss Mary Scott, or Scotty Wilds, was introduced as new Covenant Director of Christian Education. And she was here and had quite an influence for many years. November 1962, starting today, mimeographed copies of sermons are to be made available. So my photocopies for you is part of a long-standing tradition. But 1962, that's not so easy to photocopy things. Covenant membership reaches 1,300. Here is a nice photo I found of the chancel choir in 1962. Don't know if anyone can recognize people there. It's anyone?
Looks like it was in the basement. That's what I was gonna say. Looks like it's in the basement.
Yeah. Yeah, lower level, is that what you're thinking?
Lower
Nice.
level is what we call it, yeah.
All right, moving on. In February 1963, session authorized the $440,000 loan for the last stage of church construction, which of course you saw that first slide, you know what that's all about. In March, the Couples Club Variety Show Extravaganza featured dancing girls, specialty acts, and our own dance band, and the cost was 75 cents per person.
Whoa.
So, I mean, you know, we probably need, you know, to grow our ministry by means of more dancing girls.
They were called the Covenant Rockettes.
Covenant what?
Rockettes.
Covenant Rockettes was the name, so.
And you realize it was called the variety show because we didn't dare say talent show.
We didn't.
Exactly, not talent show, we know better. But that's kind of cool, the variety show remained an annual tradition at Covenant for decades, and Mona and I got here in 1988, and we were in a couple, I mean, so we're, you know, we know about that, it was indeed decades. March 17th, big day for Covenant, the groundbreaking ceremony held at 4 p.m. for you know what. And July 21st was the dedication and laying of the cornerstone for the sanctuary by George Timmons, Dave's father.
On behalf of Presbyterian.
On behalf of Presbyterian, sure. So, December of '63, a Sunday bulletin solicited contributions for articles needed for things, not newspaper articles, things needed for the new sanctuary, narthex, minister study, and exterior of the building. So you can tell Covenant is really, you know, on the grow, on the go. Things are happening. Large membership, more every year. Building the sanctuary. So high times for Covenant. And I've just got here a few old slides of the construction getting underway. And so pretty self-explanatory. Look at that.
Laminated trusses.
Yeah, say again,
Laminated wood truss.
laminated wood trusses there. In other words, the things that you're looking at in the sanctuary, right, the wood, there it is. And
So-
it's covered so it wouldn't get.
That's a misnomer. Those are not steel beams. They're wood.
Ah, thank you. I saw steel beams referenced somewhere, but
There's no structural steel in the sanctuary.
thank you. Yes, all right.
It's all
And then surveying the progress is Reverend Don Swinburne, which I believe I believe like right there, that seems like a surveying kind of guy rather than a working, you know, guy. So,
Off to the side, you know. That looks good.
and another picture, you know, underway. So,
That's how the roof deck went on.
yep, exactly. So
And the tile roof on top of that.
Yep. So,
Ludowici tile.
and another layer. It's just coming along. Yeah, these are really neat. And then, sort of the recognizable thing, where these two are a little taller than the rest, right? I mean, like up, the choirs up that end, a little taller.
Well, they're stepped down to form a clear
I was gonna
story.
say, I don't see it be a great place for solar.
Step down for what?
A clear story, you know, we've got that, those windows halfway down the sanctuary.
Okay, yeah.
That's where the sun comes
Okay,
in,
yes,
then
okay.
it blinds the choir.
Yes, it does.
Right.
Several of
We
us
know about
noticed
that.
there's no safety harnesses on those beds.
How about that? Yeah, well,
That's pre-ocean days.
yeah, exactly.
That's a
Well,
steep roof too.
it is, yeah.
I wanna do that.
And here we start to see the what do we call it? Is this the portico?
Yeah.
You know, and then the pillars to support the roof of that, and then unfortunately a little faded, but it captures, you know, sort of nearly completed, I think. So construction proceeded through 1963 and was completed with a dedication service on February 23rd, 1964. And let me mention this photo and many
others that I'm using were taken by Phil Hall. And I mainly know Phil because he and I did coffee together for some years. And I did not realize at that time that he also did a lot of photography, but we should be glad that he did. 1964, early 64, Reverend Swinburne had made pleas to the congregation to serve in Mass, to clean and help move into the new church building. So, in February, the big day, the dedication of the completed sanctuary and fellowship hall, 3 weeks under a year since the groundbreaking. And a recital was given on the organ, and that organ took about 3 weeks to install. So, but see, things are happening. And July 21st then is what I understand is the setting of the date stone for Covenant's final phase of construction, with mementos placed in a sealed box that's in that. So if there was ever a war and someone blew up the end of the church, they'd find some newspaper articles from, 1964 and stuff like that, I think. But, and so you all see, and you all recognize this, right? You know where it is right out there. So kind of neat to like see it, there's the mortar, I guess, and like laying the stuff in there. So it's just being wrapped up at that point.
You
Yeah, Dave.
want the backstory on the organ?
Yeah, the organ, yes. The backstory.
Yes. The trustees were persuaded, along with the architect, that we ought to certainly plan on an electronic organ.
There was lobbying
It was-
for
it was-
electronic organ.
It was a lot cheaper,
Lot cheaper.
and the architect did not have to provide a big chamber.
The architect had not really designed a big chamber, thinking of pipes.
Russ Harold and I felt otherwise.
Russ Harold and Dave thought otherwise.
And so?
And we fought the battle with the trustees
Good.
and the architect
Glad you did it, yeah.
to have a pipe organ.
Won the battle of the pipe organ. There were no survivors.
We worked with many organ builders to come up with the best deal.
Yeah.
$40,000 got us 28 ranks of organ.
$40,000, 28 ranks.
Because MP Moeller, who was the largest organ builder at that time, was also doing Trinity Methodist, Maple Grove Methodist, Brookwood Presbyterian.
Okay, yeah.
And they were selling four others of the same specification at the same time here in Columbus.
Yeah.
And that's how we got that much for that little money.
Right. And what was the name of that company again?
Mueller.
Mueller.
MP Mueller.
Mueller. So the Mueller company was building four other
Identical organs.
and so we got in on that deal because they had a lot of organs underway, and so the price was better as a result.
How much would that cost today?
Cost today, well over $1 million,
Yeah.
$2 million probably.
It'd be $1 or $2 million probably today, Dave's thinking, so, all right, very good, thanks, Dave. So,
We enlarged it, of course, in 1988.
right, enlarged in 1988.
No, excuse me, 2005.
2005.
2005 we enlarged.
Today's what day?
Thank goodness you caught that. 2005, yeah. So, all right, well, thanks again, Dave. Great backstory here. May 1964, the men's club sponsored a week party to go down and get Geneva Hills ready for summer camp. Another musical topic in that September, Covenant's handbells arrived that were donated by a previous Covenant family who had moved away. It was a set of 37 handbells from London, England.
Whitechapel's.
Exactly.
Not London, Ohio. And I checked with Nan Davidson's. We still have those, but of course we have more, better, bigger, et cetera. But it's cool that those are also still around. Year-end covenant membership is approaching 1,600, and through these years, you basically see maybe 100 more members a year, give or take. That's sort of,
What we give for those today.
yeah, right. 1965, Bob Ginther served as a consultant to the building committee regarding the needs of the music program. The choir had 48 members by 1965, Bob retired from this role upon the hiring of Weldon in 1968.
Ginther was the director of the band at Arlington High.
Right, Ginther, yeah, director of the band at Upper Arlington High.
So much of our choir were mothers, especially of band members.
Nice, yeah. Excellent. Mrs. C. Ray Huntwork finished 3 years as the general superintendent of the church school, succeeded by Margaret Robb. The Book of Memorials was prepared by the Memorial Gifts Committee and was displayed in the showcase for several weeks. That book it's still out here on display?
I think it is.
Yeah. I was reading that and I think I think I've seen that. And so it's kind of fun, like just reading through all this old stuff, like 40 and 50 years ago. It's like, oh, that's where that came from, or that's when that happened, or that's when that group was formed. So,
David, do we have any idea what Mrs. C. Ray Huntworth's first name was?
oh, I don't think so. Oh, actually, hang on. One of the great finds, I hadn't encountered one of these for quite a while looking, but this is the First Covenant photo directory from 1971.
Oh my.
And so, of course, the pictures are cool, and then the listings. And in here, the Mrs. Ray and Mrs. John and Mrs. Robert and stuff like that, parentheses, it has the woman's name.
They have their first name.
So let's see about Mrs. C. Ray. Hunt. Not here.
Well, if she was succeeded by Margaret Robb, maybe she left.
Yeah. So,
If you remember Mary Jane Grieger,
Mary Jane Grieger.
very, very outspoken and so forth, she was incensed to be listed as Mrs. Dr. Grieger.
Right.
She said, damn it, my name is Mary Jane, and I don't want that.
Right. Well, and if she had been a doctor herself, would that make her Mrs. Doctor? But hold on, there's another kind of funny image along this theme, so keep that thought in mind. The lounge contains a quite well-stocked library, being added by various groups in the church. And I'm assuming, I actually don't know, the lounge would seem to be here, and the library would be here, because of course we have the nice library over yonder that was in place when Mona and I got here in 1988.
It was But used there to be were called lots the
of-
library lounge. If you refer to this room, it was the library
Oh,
lounge.
thank you. This was called the library lounge. Okay. And Betsy, were the books up here?
I don't remember the books. I don't know that I came into.
Okay. Well, so you came after it was well stocked, it sounds like.
The current library is an office.
Yeah.
The current library used to be an office.
Ah, okay, it used to be an office. It makes sense. It sort of has that look. But, all right. The city of Columbus hosted the General Assembly of the United Presbyterian Church that year, and we had volunteers helping in various roles, not surprising. February, the variety show theme was New York's newest supper club. Reverend Swinburne left in the end of October 1965, and a PMC was appointed, as we're accustomed to. And there you see the membership a little bit higher than the year before.
You want a little backstory on the General Assembly?
The General Assembly backstory. Okay, Dave, please.
Covenant played quite a role in hosting the General Assembly here in 1965, the first time they had been here. And we were in charge of a lot of details on arrangements, one of which was the communion service for the final day of the General Assembly, the big communion service in the morning. The night before, a group of us were down at Old Memorial Hall on West Broad Street, which is where it was being held, preparing the elements for the next morning's communion service. At midnight, we ran out of grape juice, and we still had communion cups to fill. What did we do? There's nothing open in downtown Columbus.
Did you pour half out of each? Just a little less?
No, we dug into our pockets for change. We go down to the vending machine, and we bought all the Fanta grape, all the Fanta grape soda, and we filled it, and the General Assembly ended up drinking Fanta grape soda, which had gone flat by the next morning. No knew the difference.
Well, that's it. Well, I mean, I can't say anything to top that. Maybe we should just be done. Oh my gosh. So, let me see. Here we are in 1966, and things are hopping still. Under the guidance of Scotty Wilds, the Christian Ed has over 100 teachers and 600 children.
Amazing.
I know. I mean, can you believe that?
Wow.
February 66, we started sponsorship of the Scouts Explorer Post 49. Are they still here?
Yeah.
I don't even.
Do you recognize that name?
Yeah, 49's been here all these years.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bruce Hocott started our head of our scout troop here in about 1980.
Okay, yep.
We started about 45 years ago.
Right.
When our kids were scout age. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Bernie might, Bernie
What's your
Campbell.
scout number? What's the scout
96.
troop number?
Bob Hamilton took the Troop 49 to Minnesota, to the wilderness area.
Lake of the Woods,
Yes, on a, well, it's
the
the
Canadian border
scouting
area.
had the canoe
Boundary wall.
boundary waters, that's the name.
Thanks, yeah.
Boundary waters.
Neat, all right. Let's see, July 3rd, the congregational meeting receives the report of the PNC recommending a call to Frank C. Williams, who started August 15th of 66. And guess what? Another member increase of about 100.
Yeah.
And there is Frank C. Williams, pastor from 1966 to 70. This is an interesting topic, and I imagine Dave will, and maybe some of the rest of you will have some insight or knowledge of this situation. Apparently, now, I mean, I wasn't Presbyterian at the time, but in 1967, the church approved or put forth a revised Presbyterian Confession of 1967, kind of a sort of a declaration of faith, a new statement of faith that recognized the historical and imperfect nature of our received biblical scripture as we strive to understand and realize God's vision for the world. Compared to, say, a more traditional view that God wrote the Bible, which, I mean, and I know where my sentiments are on that issue, but I do think that we're probably, more in line with that confession language. I mean, that's a private, personal matter, of course, but a lay commission was formed to combat the Presbyterian Church on that in 1967.
Yeah.
Dave, how did that turn out? What do you know about that?
It was turbulent, those were turbulent years. Goldwater was in his ascendancy. There was a very strong conservative movement nationally. And Williams was pretty progressive and social action. I think he was a refreshing change, but that did not comport with the number of the members. We did lose members at that time. It was a turbulent time, that's the reason. Williams didn't serve longer than he did. Because really Fran Park came into Port Royal on troubled waters, which he did. But Williams had some very stimulating programs and men's luncheons. We would alternate between Patel and Chem Abstracts at noon, because so many of our members were there, and he would lead those. And he's the one that started Preacher from the Pew.
Wow,
Started by
preacher
him.
from the pew started
And,
by
yeah, and, but as I say, there was a considerable number of the congregation that were, more both theologically and politically conservative that, did not, respond well to Williams's ministry, which is a shame. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, yeah, well, thanks so much, Dave, that's great to hear. I mean, you know, reading that history like I was telling you about, occasionally you just run across something, what? Combat? You don't usually see the word combat in Presbyterian, materials, so how about that? So thanks again, Dave, for your input on that one. So back to some more mundane stuff, in 67, lay leaders began to participate regularly in Sunday morning services. I didn't get more detail on what all that entailed, but Palm Sunday of 1967, 69 ninth graders joined the church in the confirmation class. So, yeah, sounds about right. The November Women's Association Fall Festival was a heavenly day with Marge Arnold as chairperson. And here we go, another year, another roughly 100 members joining Covenant. So we're approaching 2000. 1968. On the right there, we have a young-looking Weldon Adams and family. 68 was our first year participating in the Red Cross blood program with a goal of 127 pints.
Gosh, now we get maybe, at the most, I don't know, very most would be 20, never.
Oh, wow. Now the most we get is typically 20. So, yeah.
We need more blood.
We need more blood. So, and check this out. Again, you're just reading along, like, wait a minute, is there a number wrong there? In July, the Board of Deacons was enlarged from 63 to 69 deacons.
Can't imagine it being.
I mean, wow.
Have to have it at the sanctuary.
So, kind of have number envy here, like thinking about, but, well, I gotta say, I'm a deacon currently, and it's a great group, and we're doing really neat things. I mean, so, you do what you can with who you have, but this history is just interesting to kind of peel back and see this kind of stuff. So August 1st was Weldon Adams starting as full-time music director, of course, organist and choir director. And then August 4th was his first Sunday. And here we have another bump in membership, hit 2,000 for the first time. 1969 then, Weldon gave numerous recitals in area churches and provided articles in the bulletin describing the week's anthem. And I mean, and to be honest, when Mona and I got here Christmas of '88 and saw the choir and what he was doing, I mean, not that the people weren't also great, but I mean, that was a real selling point for us joining this church, actually. Mr. Williams' sermons were frequently duplicated and copies were made available to the members if they so desired. And then there's kind of little personal, accounts of who's marrying who, what's going on at Covenant. So Pam Blake and Rob Murphy were married in June of '69. Their daughter, Erin, married Michael Wise at Covenant on August 11, 2001. And Weldon was the organist at both weddings. So kind of a cool anecdote, I thought. And then July '69, church librarian Miss Bernice, her real name, Bernice,
She didn't have a husband.
Oh, right, of course, Miss.
That's the only reason, that's the only reason.
That's the only reason, right. Thank you. Miss Bernice Ray resigned, and Dick Sharp agreed to become the new librarian. Odd little coincidence, Dick Sharp is the person who hired me at Chemical Abstract Service. And he was my department manager for a number of years, so another odd coincidence, you know. Year end of 69, we're approaching 2,100 members. And a couple other comments just on early 1970s. There's a picture of Fran Park, by the way, pastor in 1970 to 83. So the 4 to 8 page monthly Covenant Communicator was launched with accounts of church activities and functions. There was a mission strategy council of churches. Us, with several others, began a program to serve the larger city community cooperatively, involving many members of Covenant's social witness committee. So Covenant, we were involved in a lot of things like this today and here, and so I like to see early, versions, early activities along those lines, and this was a nice one. Monthly contemporary worship celebrations were begun, mostly in the, you know what the Lightfoot Chapel is? Well, you know the chapel. Well, way back in the day, it was officially named, it was proposed to be officially named the Lightfoot Chapel. But as a church, and I think it's wise, Dave and I were talking about this, that we don't tend to label things with people's names here. I mean, just as a, overall. I mean, so because I saw that and I wondered why the chapel doesn't have a sign that says something about the Lightfoots, but,
Lightfoot was the long-term treasurer.
Long-term treasurer for us. Yeah.
Really from the beginning.
Yep, from the beginning. Great. Some more milestones and developments of 1970 now. The deacons collected 1,000 pounds of clothing and shoes for Church World Service to ship around the world. We started in 1970 to use the fellowship pads, remember those? To get congregants to be able to get acquainted with each other, which I thought that was interesting because I always thought of that as taking attendance. But I know also it was a thing where the message was sort of like, sign it and pass it down and make note of who you're worshiping with. But if you're, if you're at the end of the line, you maybe don't see it all, right? But anyway, so again, little tidbits of our past come out like that. In 1970, Mrs. Reba,
There we go.
yeah, Reba Davis, resigned as chairman of the wedding reception committee. And I included that because this is 1970. She had been Covenant's only person in that role all those years. So I thought that warranted a bullet point. At one of the largest meetings in the history of Covenant, the church enthusiastically approved a debt reduction campaign, thinking to do that before a new pastor arrives. And in fact, then we have an action shot here on the right. This is Pete White, Jim Bolton, and Fran Park burning the mortgage. And if you look closely, you can actually see a little flame. Here, see, so they really are.
The second time we paid off a mortgage, I had a shredder, and we shredded it. The fire department wouldn't let us do this.
So the second mortgage, they shredded it rather than burning, to keep the fire department happy. So, nice. Fran Park assumed the title of senior minister of Covenant, the fourth in our history, installed on September 13, 1970. And here, December of 70, Covenant membership is 2,002. It's actually down a tad, but there again, you can't read too much into these exact numbers. But that was a little reduction. 1971 continued from a CPW study action group on hunger. The SOS neighbor program and food pantry was started. And of course, most of us know that is still functioning. Lent of 1971, the Covenant Youth Choir produced Jesus Christ Superstar at a Lenten service. An overwhelming success, repeated at a later service, we're told. Lent, we had 3 seminars of the Covenant Academy of Lay Studies, namely, Who is Jesus? His Life and Teaching, Theology and Music of the Church. The Academy also hosted a summer film festival. I never heard of the Covenant Academy of Lay Studies. Anyone? I mean, if Drew Arnold wrote it down, I mean, it must be true, but.
It was Fran Park's initiative.
Yeah, Dave, what was that?
Fran Park initiated it.
Fran Park initiated that, so it makes sense. The Reverend Keith Moser starts as the new assistant pastor to replace Pete White, who retired at the end of August, and then he was called as an associate pastor then in January, shortly after that. Yeah, John.
I'm not 100% sure, but Peter Bernays was the SOS originator, I think.
Pete Bernays, probably, the originator of the SOS.
Neighborhood Services Incorporated also at, right now it's at 19th and 4th.
Okay, yeah.
He was keeping that going, so I think it was his idea to get that.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we knew Pete, and sure, makes sense. Okay. Okay, now, let's see. Here's another one that I stumbled across in Drew's history. Another some large number of Fs, for the Women's Association. Fall Fellowship featuring fellowship, fun, fancy foods, flavorful feasting, and floral culture. So, and this was not the first one apparently, because they're saying another, but I think the Women's Association Fall celebration tradition is a long-standing one, but I thought that was funny with all those Fs. And Christmas of that year, Weldon's first roundtable, a program so popular that it was held for many years to come. This is 1971. Mona and I were in at least one, maybe 2 or 3. I mean, that was still a thing. And I studied medieval literature and stuff, so like the round table, like King Arthur or whatever, that's pretty cool. And then, again, to those of us who are sort of gender attentive, it's really hard to read, but I found this recently in the heritage stuff. Out of covenant cupboards. See that?
Yeah.
It's a hand-drawn, I think mimeographed maybe, or not photocopied, I'm not sure about that. But, so it's a collection of recipes by covenant women. And check out the list. The book is gratefully dedicated to these contributors listed and to those whose names we did not have. An extra thanks to Mrs. Fred Lawson for the very special illustrations. So we've got Mrs. Robert, Mrs. John, Mrs. Bailey, Mrs. John, Mrs. Jack, Mrs. Charles, Mrs. Robert, yeah, so.
Back to
Dave.
Pete Bernays for a minute.
Yeah, Pete Bernays.
Very active layman here. Grew up in Vienna in a Jewish family.
Oh, yeah, Jewish.
And he spoke fondly of his uncle Siggy, Sigmund Freud
Wow.
was his uncle.
Oh my gosh. Pete Bernays' uncle was Sigmund Freud and grew up in Jewish Vienna. So how cool is
He
that?
also went to MIT, I believe, and was an officer trying to get new students for that
Okay.
all the time.
Yeah, but his wife was a very active Methodist gal, and pulled him over into Christianity,
Yeah,
and he
right.
came in big guns.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, so.
That cookbook came out in 71. Do we
I
think?
actually don't know, there is no, see, I put up there no date. I didn't know.
They missed the 60s when the women were liberated.
Yeah.
I
Covenant.
remember the 60s.
Yeah, I guess liberation didn't hit Covenant or something, but, I actually don't know that this is 1971. So I just thought this is a place it would fit in, and it seemed likely to be about right, but yeah, so, there you have it. Okay. 1971 and 2, all right, so in year end of 1971, Covenant membership, actually, check this out, it spiked higher a little bit compared to, but it's still right around 2,000. Here it reaches 2,137, up from 2002 a year earlier, and this is the highest year-end number that I've found, so 2,137. Lent 1972, the youth choir put on Jesus Christ Superstar. So it must have been a hit. So 1972, under Weldon's direction, Covenant and First Congregational choirs combined to perform Maurice Duruflé's Requiem, conducted by the composer Duruflé personally.
At First Congregation.
Yeah, and then, so how about that? What a neat thing.
Sang in that.
Yeah. 1972, weekly bulletins featured artistic designs on the cover, designed by members of the church, and particularly Judy Dale. And of course, we remember Judy Dale. And by the way, one of the long-standing questions that no one has been able to answer, but thinking of Judy Dale, we're still trying to figure out who created this magnificent wall hanging, but Judy Dale is a theory that has been forwarded as someone who might have created it. I mean, looking at it, it seems like it might date from about 1980 or something like that. Just the imagery, the colors, the vibe. I don't know, but yeah. So if anyone can shed light on that, that would be great. The Covenant Prayer Chain was started in 1972 with 116 members, so lots of praying going on. 1972, the pictorial directory, long under preparation, was available to the congregation. So here it is, and you can have a look at it later if you want. I'll leave it out. And actually, I found a second one since then, so that was good. November 8th, the first meeting of Covenant's Endowment Fund Planning Committee, convened by, in 2009, the fund was restructured under the Permanent Funds Ministry format to provide more flexibility in deployment of donated assets and their income. I'm not 100% sure of the meaning of every term there, but suffice it to say, Covenant is really blessed to be guided by great financial stewards and knowledgeable people who care and are committed and really look out for the well-being of us as a church and entity in Upper Arlington. Year-end 1972, the membership is down a little, but again, it's really at a high plateau of around 2,000 for quite a few years in a row. 1973, session is expanded from 21 to 24 members. Here's SOS Food Pantry. At this stage, there are 70 women volunteers taking food to needy families. And there was a number reported for this year, actually, about 66 adults and 170 children. So that, of course, ministry is actively going on still. Choir and musical group involvement was substantial, with 7 groups having a total of over 200 members, about 70 adults and 130 children and youth. Church school enrollment was approximately 600 children with 80 teachers. Youth groups had 47 active members and 19 adult advisors. Additionally, January of 1973, the Presbytery of Scioto Valley is officially constituted, combining the previous Columbus and Scioto presbyteries. So at that point, then in the Presbytery of Scioto Valley, there are 112 churches and around 45,000 members. So,
How many today, Jim?
Jim? Oh, did he?
It's around 13,000.
Oh.
It's around 13.
Oh, about 13,000? Oh, thanks. Yeah, Bob knew that.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Okay.
40,
Okay.
yeah.
We're on the home stretch because I know we're probably supposed to go to church here and. But,
Yeah.
all right, after lengthy study and consideration in 1973, session approved that members, non-member, children, in other words, children before they're confirmed or whatever, would be allowed to receive communion after completing series of classes to learn about communion. And that's classes for both parents and children. So I think, maybe the bar is a little lower these days on that, but there you have it. And at this stage, I just captured this because it was an interesting sort of historical moment, snapshot, observation, whatever you want to call it. As of 1973, 9 charter members are noted as deceased as of that year, and you see them listed there. And covenant membership is still hanging right around 2,000. Okay, and here actually I brought together in one slide, and by the way, I do have photocopies of the slides from today and the other days too, if you'd like to take. Again, I don't like to pass them out in advance because I figure you'll look at them instead or whatever. But here you have it, year by year, number of members, church school, infant baptisms. In fact, I counted up the baptisms in 20 years. There were 707 infant baptisms. So how about that? And so that really concludes for today. And I'll just sort of plant the seed that perhaps next year, as I'm able to work through the materials, I might do something like 1974 to 2004, with the logic that 2004 was our 50th anniversary as a church. And you see on the right there, there's the logo selected by Covenant's 50th anniversary committee, designed by member Pete Williams, our cross and sanctuary, enclosed in the circle of 50 years of church membership. And so in this and my activities with this stuff, your ideas, documents, mementos, assistance are welcome. And so with that, that's it.